Alright, so new fan clutch finally showed up and made in United States. I guess I don't get to make my where in the world is USA joke today. So reason why I went on ahead and bought a Mopar fan clutch is the current fan clutch that's on my truck is an aftermarket, and it hadn't lasted even a whole year yet. So even though there's a lifetime warranty on the aftermarket fan clutch, there is no point in swapping a fan clutch once a year. I'm trying to weld here. I ain't trying to hang Christmas lights or whatever y'all do. Decorate for Thanksgiving. So now I get to tear into the truck and get the old one off. Alright, seeing as how I've performed this exact operation at least once before on this particular truck, went and got my custom homemade fan clutch wrench. Yes, that's 1/4 inch mild steel plate. Yes, I cut it out freehand with a burning torch. Double aught tip, Victor torch. Or Victor lookalike torch with a Victor tip. Anyways, it don't matter. Got my 1/2 inch snap off and my Chinesium 13mm, because the snap off set that came with the toolbox that I purchased didn't have a 13 M&Ms in it. I also got a pry bar. Pry bar is for holding the pulley steel. And I just remembered that I'm also going to need, I believe, a 1/2 inch drive ratchet to release the tensioner pulley, but I can't even get to that right now. So first order of business is, there's that nut, another one just like it on the other side, and then I believe it's 2 bolts down at the bottom. It may be 2 more nuts just like that down at the bottom, I can't remember. Also got a little wiring to unplug down there, but then I can get the fan and the fan shroud out of the way and move on to the rest of this surgery. I'm gonna try to post the phone up somewhere that y'all can see what I'm doing. Maybe. Well, camera angle sucks, but that's about the best I can do. I don't know, maybe. Let's try. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Alright, here we go. Sure. Hey, at least it hit the floor. One nut. Got that one broke loose. That's another thing. I see people all the time go to push on a wrench or a ratchet or socket wrench, whatever y'all want to call it. They'll wrap their hand all the way around it and be like pushing with all they got. If that Chinesium wrench slips, and say the firewall is right there, most firewalls on most vehicles have a real nice, what they call a pinch weld. It's never deburred. You just gonna take your knuckles all the way down to the skin, to the bone, right on that pinch weld. Don't do it with a closed fist. Leave your hand open. Push with an open hand. That way, you just make yourself a whole nother line on your palm there. Right. Them two's off. Slide back under. I do believe one of these is broke. Yeah, see, there's that one. So I'll just go on ahead and get it, pushing with an open hand again. Now that she's loose, she ain't got to worry about it. Just going ahead and spin it on off of there. And I was correct. That one is broke. That's all right. Something about two's company, four's a crowd. I'm not sure. Anyways, I got to get this pigtail here undone. And I believe the way that you're supposed to do that is by squeezing right there and then pulling it apart. But obviously I can't do it with just one hand. I got to do it with two, because you don't want to pull on the wires. You want to pull on the plastic of the plug itself. You go to pulling on the wires, you get bad connections, loose connections, broken wires, and in some cases, rare cases, dead shorts. Dead shorts pop fuses, loose connections, burn up electrical pigtails, and cause electrical components to act stupid. So we're not going to do that. I'm just going to pause this, unhook that, and then proceed. Alright, now that's unhooked, and I was right. You just squeeze right there on that plug, and right where my thumb's at, you squeeze. That unlocks it. Then it's pretty easy to just take it apart. I forgot to grab my 10 millimeters, so I got to go grab that now. 10 millimeter is not a very hard item to keep up with. I don't see how people lose them all the time. If you're using them all the time, you shouldn't be losing them at all. But anyways, yep, I tightened that. All that bolt does is hold the little sheet metal tab that holds that little wiring harness away from the fan, because for some reason old school hydraulic fan clutches that don't require wiring are a thing of the past, even though they worked so much better and didn't require me to change them once a year. Alright, we'll take that back down off of there. Yeah, this is gonna be aggravating, but oh well. Now I'll set y'all right on back up here, however I had you, and you can't really see it from there, but what I'm messing with is there's a nut way down there right at the tip of my finger. You put the fan clutch wrench on it, and then I'll use the pry bar to hold on the heads of them bolts that are to the right of my tip of my finger, and it'll hold that pulley still, and I can break it loose and take the fan clutch loose, and then I can pull the fan clutch and the fan shroud out all at the same time. Fan's going to come out with the fan clutch. It ain't fun, it ain't glamorous, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done because if you ain't careful, you run that fan clutch too long with it squealing like this one's been doing, what'll happen is eventually it'll lock itself up, and when it locks up, it's gonna rip that wiring harness that I had to unplug completely out of the equation, and that's gonna deal a whole lot more misery than just swapping a fan clutch. Come on now. Alright, got her broke loose. No more need for the pry bar. Well, I might be able to get lucky and not even need the belt taken loose. Probably not. But yeah. Now, let's see if I can bring you in here where you can see it. It ain't easy to see, but right down there, right there, as I spin the fan, you can see that nut is spinning. So the nut and the fan are both coming off like they're supposed to. And it's just a long, drawn out process, and I need both hands to keep from dropping that fan into my radiator. Because I just put fresh brand new. Alright, had some sort of a mishap trying to set my phone back down, but here we are. Aftermarket bumpers are great if you need a place to stand while you're working on your expensive Cummins shipping crate. Alright. Here's the part that I really despise. Getting the fan shroud off these studs. You got to pull it to you and up a little bit up here. Then you got to go back down there and push it towards the front of the truck and push it up some, and it's just not a good time. It's actually one of the few things I like about a GM product. Old square body Chevy, OBS Chevy, both of them, they all pretty much had a two-piece fan shroud, which was very easy to remove. All you ever really had to take loose was the upper half. What am I hanging on? Why is my fan? Oh, that's the problem. Golly, I hate this part. Wiring harness. Just the smell coming from that Bradford pear tree right yonder is really messing with my respiratory system. I don't know who decided Bradford pears were a good tree for the United States, but they need to go take a dump with their pants on and then stub their toe on their way to the bathroom trying to clean it up every day for the rest of their life. Just like Dodge. This was completely unnecessary, Dodge. See if I can avoid knocking my hood prop out. What the? Well, now you're starting to irritate me now. If I didn't need this fan, I'd throw this thing. Once I finally get it loose from everything that's hanging on to it. Highly annoying, but yeah, I just take them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts loose, pull this fan off that fan clutch, put this fan on the new fan clutch, and I can go back together with it. But before I go and do all that, while I've got this thing apart this far, I'm going to go on ahead and give myself some more bad news by satisfying a little bit of curiosity. I'm going to do a spin test on the rest of the pulleys that are still in here and make sure that none of them are making any weird noises. Come on out of there. Fine, fall on the floor. Alright, now I got easy access to the tensioner. There's a square drive hole in the end of it there. You just stick a 1/2 inch drive ratchet, breaker bar, whatever in that hole. Then you can release the tension on the belt, and that'll allow you to spin all the remaining pulleys and make sure that they're all still good. They all better still be good, because the idler and the tensioner are both Cummins parts that I just bought when I replaced that fan clutch last year. If I ain't getting no more than about 30,000 miles out of Cummins parts, I'm going to be deleting a Cummins from my inventory. Oh, wrong way, stupid. Alright. Now I got the belt loose. Going ahead and spin that pulley. Still good. Water pump still good. No sense in trying to do a spin test on the power steering pump pulley. But let's see. Well, just going ahead and take this belt loose and kind of stuff it down in there. Well, the hub for the fan clutch has got just a smidge of tiny amount of noise, but it ain't no concern yet. Nothing to be concerned about yet, rather. So I'll just snake that back down through there on the pulleys that I've already taken it off of and transferred to this side. Alternator's good and quiet. Sure, bang the radiator with your ratchet, stupid. Going for the tensioner pulley now. Gotta use both hands. Oh yeah, it's still good and quiet. As I suspected, taking the belt back loose from all this was absolutely not necessary, but had I not done that, it all would have flew apart because I missed something. Get back on that AC compressor. Actually, yeah, that one's still good and quiet too. Y'all can believe what you want to. Air conditioning in a vehicle. There are two types of people in this world that air conditioning is made for. Actually, three. I'll take that back. Old people, women, and infant children. And the infant children part is debatable. Now I got the belt back on all the pulleys. I just slide up under it right quick and do me a double gander and make sure that it's not out of a groove somewhere on one of these serpentine pulleys. By the way, I am checking the belt at the same time. The belt's still good. No cracks, no indication that it's going to start squealing, but yeah. Yep, still good. So now I get to hobble all the way back there to that little shed and grab my little snap off electric impact and whatever size socket I need. I think it's going to be a 13 M&M. Let's just check with this 1/2 inch right quick. Oh, 1/2 inch fits it. So yeah, it's actually a 1/2 inch. Cummins, no, that's the Dodge part. I know because the diesel engine parts supplier that I have couldn't get me a Cummins fan clutch for a 2008 Dodge Ram 3500. They said that was a Mopar exclusive part. And yes, there are cheaper fan clutches on the market. But I called the Dodge dealer. Dodge dealer told me $800 and I can have it in a week. Well, I ain't doing that. So I hung up with him and I got on summit-racing-equipment.com and found the exact same Mopar fan clutch for $300 cheaper. Did a little bit more looking around. Couldn't find it cheaper anywhere else. So I went on ahead and snagged on that. But I almost talked myself into buying a Hayden fan clutch that was, I believe, $150 to $175. The reason I didn't talk myself into that is that's about what I give for what's on there, or why. That's about what I give for what I'm changing out. There's a reason why the Mopar part is like $300 more expensive than the most expensive aftermarket that I can find that's cheaper. Is it quality? I sure hope so. If it ain't quality, then I got ripped off. But if I got ripped off, all 307 of you, if you care to watch long enough, are going to find out that I did get ripped off. So there'll be that. I also believe this particular aftermarket has a lifetime warranty, but like I said, lifetime warranty does me no good when I've got my truck down till I can change it. Alright, that's out of the way. Go grab the oven. Alright, went and grabbed the oven right quick. So we just lay the fan right on top of all the bolts that I'm trying to keep up with, because that's a great idea. And come on now, all you got to do is get one bolt hole lined up good, get one bolt started, then you can move to another bolt. Kind of use your bolt like a spud bar, and now you got them two. Leave them finger tight. There is no point in running around through here sticking one bolt in and then tightening it and then doing it again, because chances are they're not all six gonna line up just because you got one to line up. I know it's 3:30. My alarm went off. Any of y'all use alarms to remind yourself that it's time to go home? Just gonna gently snug them. Anybody who knows anything about snap-on impact knows that this little 3/8 drive is not that stout. And there's that, 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 and that, and that, and that. Now I just stick this thing back in. May have forgot to mention this, but you want your wiring harness to be kind of down at the bottom-ish. And you got to go back in at the same time with the fan shroud, because that's how they make you take it apart. So you got to put it back together the same way you took it apart. Just reverse the process. If you don't, then you'll deal yourself a whole bunch of misery, and I've had enough misery out of this thing. If this thing was a 79 Ford F350, I'd have been back to work today instead of waiting on a $600 part to finally show up in the mail. You know why? Because the 79 F350 has the option of running a straight fixed blade mechanical fan. it don't have a clutch, you ain't got to worry about it. If the engine's running and the belt ain't broke, it ain't gonna have any trouble. Just gotta be patient and get this incredibly irritating assembly down in the hole that it come back out of. Maybe you should get somebody to help you. No, I don't need no help. Help just breaks things. Or help, rather, just ask me a bunch of stupid questions. What is... there's the problem. No, there's the problem. Sure, punch the radiator again. We'll just pretend I didn't just leave my ratchet hooked to the tensioner and cause my own misery for a minute. Oh, believe me, Dodge has brought plenty that I have yet to endure. Y'all didn't know some dummy from Alabama knew all them big $2 words, did you? Probably not. I think I quit reading books at a 7th grade level, but I was in the 5th grade. I don't remember. Now the type of books I read are frowned on by a lot of society. Why? Because they promote self-sufficiency. They do not promote our government at all. They don't promote anybody's government. Back to the bottom to make sure this thing ain't snagging on nothing else. And it is. Get on down here. What are we stuck on now? You know, stuff like this is part of the reason why I didn't bother becoming a mechanic per se. I had the notion that if I spent all day, every day, turning wrenches on things that take oil and gas and go wooden, then I wouldn't have the energy or the want to turn wrenches on my things that take oil and gas and go wooden. And I like my things that take oil and gas and go wooden. So yeah, be a welder. Burn them 7018s and 6010s and 308, 309 and 4043. Just burn rods. It's cheaper. That was the best joke I ever heard. Burning rods is about as expensive as being a automobile mechanic. And I'm gonna tell you why. This truck cost me about the same as that big red snap-on toolbox in there that's slammed full of mostly snap-on tools. Get down in there. Wait, don't be getting ahead of yourself. Go on ahead and get the fan clutch started on the threads. Let's start a 1-inch nut. I'm gonna say 1 inch. It's probably a little bigger, but start a 1-inch nut with a 2-foot head on it while your arms are folded up in a nice tight little spot here. That'll be a great time. Yes, I probably could have taken the radiator and the AC condenser and all that out of the way, but there is absolutely no point in doing all that. All right, I got her started and threaded back up. Still gonna have to actually torque it, which is just gonna be me with that big fan clutch wrench and probably a hammer or another big wrench. But yeah, I'm just going ahead and stick this nut back on. And this one, don't drop it. Don't drop it. You get on there. Good googly moogly. Just the plain disobedience of this truck. I just don't get it. For those of you who didn't know, 1/2 inch is a little smaller than 13 millimeter, but that's kind of a good thing if you're working on hardware that's had the corners rounded from cheap wrenches and all that. 1/2 inch give you a little tighter bite. In this case, this hardware is too tight for 1/2 inch, so I got to get my 13, which I might as well just go ahead and button the bottom side up while I'm down there getting that. So I got my 13 millimeters, and I'm back on that little nut right there. I'm just gonna cinch it. It's good. Now, the annoying part is that little wiring harness pigtail has got a little trench right where my finger's at. You got to get that wiring harness up through that trench and have it securely fastened there so that the fan don't drag it into itself and rip the wiring harness loose. I need both hands. Sorry. All right, got that fault back up through there. So now it kind of clips around somehow. It's gonna end up right there, but there we go. Well, that's close. You got to get that little tab back in that little hole right there. And what is the problem? Well, hey. Yes, I just had to move the camera to make sure the camera wasn't tricking me. It's in there. Alright, so now we roll the fan blades past it as we look and make for sure. Yep. It does not appear that anything is in any sort of imminent danger. I'm gonna check that gap with my fingers. Oh yeah, my whole birdie finger will fit between the end of that blade and that bit of wiring right there. So all that's good. Now I can take this little bolt, stick it back in this little hole, take my 1/4 inch drive ratchet, hook back to it, and just go on ahead and send it the rest of the way home. Luckily, I did not just break the bolt. She tight. Now, you just hook this pigtail back up here. And if I can do it one-handed. Oh yeah. Now that you got plug lined up, just squeeze the ever-living fire out of it, and yeah, it's not going to lock because the lock is slightly damaged. When you run into a slightly damaged lock like that, you just figure out which way it needs to go to actually lock, and you pry it that direction a little bit, but be gentle, don't break it. That also requires both hands. So here we go. All right, I got that hooked back up. Turns out I just didn't squeeze it hard enough. I had the wrong angle on it with my left hand, and I'm right-handed, so put my right hand on it and I heard her go click. So she's good. Got 14 pounds of dirt in my left eyeball, but that's fine. Alright, there's that other bolt that I had to point at earlier that you probably didn't see. But yeah, actually it's a nut on a stud, but flip the wrench around. Well, one way the wrench is in the way, and the other way the wrench is in the way. So, alright, that's tight. I'm gonna go back over here to his ugly cousin. That one's tight, well, close. Alright, good. Torqued. You didn't hear it go click click. Actually, this is 2023. It went beep 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 beep. Just stay off. I don't need you there anyways. Alright, time to tighten the fan clutch. Yes, there is a specific torque spec. No, I will not be using said torque spec because I have yet to see the actual torque wrench that has an open end on it, like an open end wrench or a fan clutch wrench. So, yeah, we just go with tight enough. I'm gonna hang the pry bar back in that pulley again and just go the opposite direction this time. Well, no, you don't get to fall. All right, that's tight. Plenty tight enough. So, pulled the fan clutch, replaced the fan clutch, checked all the pulleys are good. Fan shroud's back on, everything's tight, wiring's hooked back up. I don't believe there's anything else to do here except fire this puppy up and see if everything flies apart or not. I am gonna go on ahead and check the oil. Just changed it yesterday. Make sure I ain't got no catastrophic failures from sitting overnight. Well, there ain't no under it, so it didn't go nowhere. And that's not always true. They put dipsticks on things for a reason. Oh yeah, she full. Another thing, whenever you go look at a rig, pull the oil cap off. You see how mine's all nice and pretty and black? If you find milkiness there, or white, foamy looking, anything other than black or, you know, gently used brownish oil, leave it sitting where you're sitting unless you're getting an extremely good deal, because chances are that's not condensation. It's going to be coolant or water of some sort getting into the oiling system of the engine. And yes, I am slightly OCD, so it has to say diesel engine oil facing me, see owner's manual, and it's got to be level and square with the rest of the truck, even though it's on a round cap. All right, coolant. Also, always check your coolant level at the radiator if you can. Don't do it with the engine hot. Make sure there's no pressure on the system. There was no pressure on this system because I ain't fired this truck up today and I checked it last night. Anyways, check it at the radiator if you can, because there's no guarantee that your hose that goes from the radiator overflow over to the overflow tank or the coolant reservoir is going to be good. I mean, a rat could get up in there one night and just chew it and drain the coolant reservoir, and you think that you're putting some in, but you really need it in the radiator and it's doing you no good. So all of that being said and done, and yeah, Yes, I'm fighting with this again because I'm a glutton for punishment. Whatever. It's time to fire it up. I'll put my hood prop back where it goes. I don't trust these. I don't see any point in buying them new, so I spent like $9 at Lowe's on a mop handle. Works just fine. Whole lot more reliable. All right. Igniter exciter key. Just send it into the column. Oh, we don't need the grid heater today because it's hot enough to make the devil sigh. And there's all the oil pressures. I thought you didn't want the grid heater today. Watch that volt gauge. When that grid heater kicks back off, that thing's gonna fly upwards. Or not, just make me a liar. There it comes. Alright, it didn't sling the belt off of it, and if that volt gauge wasn't up at 14.5 or whatever it is, then I'd say that the alternator's not turning. But I know the alternator's turning because if it wasn't turning, it wouldn't be putting a charge back in the batteries. Got plenty of oil pressure. This project's over with. Thank y'all for watching. If you want to see more stuff like this, just leave me a comment, like, share, subscribe, whatever it is that you feel is necessary. And yeah, I'd do a whole bunch more vehicle related stuff because I'm pretty good at breaking stuff, and I've got a yard full of stuff that's broke that I need to fix. So yeah, like I said, thanks for watching, and y'all have a nice day.